What is up YouTube? Welcome back to another Dragon Trapper video, and today we are going to talk about the new SSRX that has actually launched onto global. She isn't a new character because she was on the Taiwanese servers, but she did finally arrive into global with the mythical summon banner. Now this character, she is absolutely amazing. The first thing to actually note is 1, she's a priest, so she's going to be a healer. And 2, she's a part of the Wild and also Elemental Echo faction. Now we'll talk about which teams you can use her in these factions and what the setups are, looking at some of the resources we have found online. But let's actually talk about her kit, and you're going to see why she is absolutely amazing if you have a good frontline character to pair with her. And the reason why is this talent ability. You can see that whenever she heals, she's going to give a target, or whatever targets she heals, damage reduction by 26%, and this doubles to 52% when the target is 50% HP or less. So when they're half health or less, they're getting 52% damage reduction. That's absolutely insane. And with dupes of her, which are very, very important, right? You really want to get her to level 2 first and foremost, so 2 copies, because this will make it so that whenever an allied luminary enters wild or triggers a reaction, so perfect for her faction obviously, they're going to heal, and this heal will also apply this Divine Melody. If you keep going down, she has Heaven Song, also removing control effects and debuffs and giving you CC immunity for 5 turns at level 3. And then you can also see other stuff with charm duration going increased as well. So she's really, really strong. Just because she has so much damage mitigation, she also has a lot of ways to heal. One, through her passive, right, when you use wild or elemental reactions. But also you'll see with her overdrive, she is going to heal after equalizing. So what equalize is you basically split all the HP, so everyone's percentage HP becomes the same. So it makes it so that if you actually have a backline character getting sniped out, if you use this, well, you can equalize health and then recover health and then have this damage reduction on top, which makes her very good at protecting your carry. Especially if you're running only one carry, she's going to be really, really strong. Also, you'll see whenever stuns or silence are applied to your team, so this is going to be really good against especially the arcane teams in PvP. You can actually reduce the cost of this next overdrive, which is going to be very powerful because it goes down to 3, which is very cheap for something that has this really powerful ability. And of course, she has other healing abilities, which is very, very strong. She even has this charm when she's first hit by a melee luminary, so it's not going to be ranged. It has to be a melee character. You'll basically stop them from using skills, and it's going to be really annoying and make her very hard to kill. And then on top of this, to make things even better, this special skill is going to have insane debuffs to cripple enemies, and this doesn't cost any points, right? It just happens automatically as their special skill, and you can just snipe out backline characters, reduce their attack speed, also apply attack down if you're attacking stuff with elemental debuffs. So this just makes her a very, very strong healer. So in terms of how good she is, she's definitely one of the best healers in the game, especially for the wild team. I think she's going to be a must-have if you actually plan to play this team composition, and she's just going to be super, super powerful. In fact, if we actually look at some of the team comps that you can run, this is going to be one of the wild teams, the spirit teams, using the hideout guides, and you'll see that if you have Jing, she's going to be really good to pair with Venus because she can protect her very easily. And then whatever tank you have in the front, whether it be Oberon or more ideally Athena, they're going to be absolutely unkillable. And I honestly think with this setup, you have a lot of options. You just run Jing, Venus, and then you run Athena, and then the other 3 slots, you have a lot of options you can run for the spirit team. So if you look at some other teams here, I guess this one doesn't have Venus, but like for example here, you have Chiron here, another healer, which is very strong. You also have Hugin here, the Raven person, also a very powerful character, right? So you can slot them in. So very flexible team as long as you have Venus, Jing, and then you have ideally Athena, or if you are on a budget build, Oberon in front. And I will say, without Athena, she's probably not going to be that powerful. The reason why Athena is so good for her is because she's like the tankiest character in the game, right? She has a shield, she has this lifelink, which is super strong, right? And also, she triggers wild pretty easily, so whenever she does trigger wild, she's going to be very tanky because she's going to get healed and also get the damage reduction. And with her overdrive, you can also taunt enemies to kind of time this correctly, and also you'll get a huge shield. So basically, she can just like 6-man tank a lot of teams, even without Venus, but with Venus, it's like not even close. She's not going to lose any health. So I think, you know, if you have Athena and you have her built, you might want to consider going for Venus because you can play that wild team and they're going to be extremely strong together in this team comp. Now for the elemental echo team, this is really up to you if you want to play it. People say all the time it's like one of the most expensive teams, and honestly it's kind of true, right? You have Venus in the back here, and then the thing about the elemental echo team is a lot of the really good elemental echo characters for the late game, they aren't released yet in global. So you do have to plan to get these characters on banners and pretty much get them the red 1-star at the very least. Especially the tank, right? Because Venus is very good in comps with like one solo tank. This tank here is not on global yet, and she probably will release, I'd say, in like the next month or so. Not next banner, maybe the banner after, most likely. But because of this, you know, not only is this team setup, this faction team for the Red Dragon late game really expensive, but for global server it's even more expensive because the characters aren't even out yet. So you basically have to plan ahead. Now you can also use Athena in the elemental echo team, but at that point, if you have Venus and Athena and you have Jing, which you probably do, then you might as well play like one of these spirit teams because it's just going to be way more efficient in terms of what characters you already have built, and also it's just going to be a better use of your resources. But yeah, for me personally, I'm going to go for 1 copy of Venus. I'm actually 5 shards short, and I think going for every single SSRX is always a great option because of the fact that you can farm their shards in Heart Trial, right? So if you actually get their affinity to level 20, you can see for my Poseidon, which is affinity level 20, the shards are guaranteed. And if they're not level 20, the shards only have a chance to drop. So yeah, you want to keep this in mind. So you can actually have a consistent way to farm shards later on once you get your affinity up, which you can do pretty easily just by sending gifts. But yeah, I think Athena is definitely a character that is really powerful. However, you do need the right circumstances around her. You can probably fit her into more budget-friendly teams for the wild and elemental echo teams without Athena, like I said. But outside of those factions, it's pretty hard to use her because this level 2 talent is super strong because it just gives a lot of passive healing. And this will also give this damage reduction buff. So I wouldn't recommend pulling for her if you're not going to play these 2 teams and main them. Right, if you're investing into an SSRX, you want to make sure you're maining that team for pretty much forever. So if you don't plan to play the wild and red team into the late game, I think it's going to be an easy skip. And then of course, in terms of gear, what you're looking for is haste set because, you know, her skills are super OP. And then, you know, the subclass all listed here. This is on hideout guides, like I said, but she is a very good character, especially once you get her built on haste set because yeah, she's just really powerful. You probably saw how her skills are just super strong. But that is pretty much it for today's video. Let me know down below what you think about Venus so far, if you already pulled for her. If not, if you guys are planning to pull for her or if you're skipping her. I think that she's a pretty good SSRX. We do have a lot of you know, good SSRXs in the pool already, and we do even have some other ones which should release, such as like Loki and also, you know, Thor, which will be really strong as well. But, you know, I think for sure if you're not playing these team compositions, it's probably a skip because we do have other good ones coming in the future and even some old ones that you can go for more copies for when they rotate in. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video.